Fury says things for effect, right? If you believe what Fury says, right? No, I don't think he'll get.
He does look bigger.
Is Fury in better shape now than he was for the second fight?
Yeah, because he has a much better team now. He has better nutritionists, better strength and conditioning coaches. He's training better. Yeah, definitely. And he's getting used to Sugar Hill. I think that young man is going to make a mark as the best trainer in boxing.
Hey, Bob, what are your thoughts on
what? Yeah. I mean, look, the Japanese guy, Inoue, is a phenomenon, a great boxer and a tremendous puncher. And the Philippine boy is an all-action fighter. So we're going to see a really good fight. And then we got the Adam Lopez fight with Dog Bay. Hey, that's a really good fight. That'll be shown on the linear platform. And Michaela Mayer's fight will be on the linear platform.
You mentioned, I'm sorry.
And the rest of the fights will be on ESPN+.
Bob, what are your thoughts on Canelo going for undisputed at super middleweight? Canelo going for undisputed at super middleweight.
Canelo is a great fighter and a great attraction. So I don't see any super middleweight right now beating him. I think the only one that may give him trouble and be competitive is this Benavidez kid.
So you don't think Caleb Plant is...
He's a very good fighter, but he's not Canelo. He doesn't have the power of Canelo. I think he'll give Canelo a decent fight, but there's one winner.
So you feel David Benavidez is the biggest threat?
I think Benavidez is a real biggest threat.
What do you make of the press conference where you have one fighter who doesn't want to talk to the media? What do you think of that?
Josh Taylor? Not a good one. Or even a fight with Ramirez, leading to a judge. So, I mean, I'm not concerned with making big fights for Teofimo in the future.
When you mentioned Just Taylor, it could be for 8 titles, right?
What?
When you mentioned Just Taylor,
no, it's only for 4. It's not for.
It's only 4. Why not a catch weight?
Yeah, but
135, 140.
But then it's for none. You either get 4 or you get 0, but you don't never get 8.
137.5. Let's imagine.
Is that the most likely, Bob? Though, is the Josh Taylor fight for Teo? You feel?
What?
You think is that the most likely fight for Teo? Is the Josh Taylor fight?
Just for who? For
Teo? Yeah.
No, I would know because Taylor has to fight this English guy, Catterall.
Yeah.
That's the deal. And once he fights Catterall, probably it'll be next year. So again, I mean, I know that, and Taylor, on the other hand, is looking to go up to fight Crawford. So that's a big. So there are a lot of good fights. How they get matched up, we'll see in the future.
What is next for Terrence?
Thank you.
What is next for Terrence, Bob?
What?
What is next for Terrence?
For
Crawford.
We're discussing that, and there are a lot of guys that he can fight that are interesting. There's a lot of 140-pounders that want to go up to 147, like maybe Ramirez, maybe Prograis, maybe a number of guys that we've been talking to. Maybe Zepeda would be a hell of a fight.
Errol Spence and Pacquiao.
What? Yeah. I don't count Manny out. Don't count Manny. Everybody, you look at that fight and you say, come on. It's an easy fight for Spence. That's what people said when Manny fought De La Hoya. Don't count Pacquiao out. He has something special about him.
You know Manny very well. What's the smallest thing that you think's gonna trouble Spence in the ring? Like, what's anything stand out? Like,
yeah, because of the way that Pacquiao moves. Remember the De La Hoya fight when he was in with a slower guy like De La Hoya who knew how to fight? He attacked from the left side. By the time De La Hoya responded, Pacquiao was on the other side. He's a very, very difficult fighter to fight. Now, if he starts standing in there and slugging it out with Spence, who's much bigger, then he has problems. But if he keeps moving and pecks away at Spence, he'll win the fight.
Manny hasn't faced a southpaw in a very long time. Do you think that will come into play at all?
Nah, it doesn't matter for Pacquiao. His style, it doesn't matter.
How was the meeting Friday with Team Crawford?
Do you have an Instagram?
Good. Everything was good. Everything. We have a plan.
October?
What?
October.
Well, I don't know exactly. I mean, you know, there are dates. There's football. We have to clear dates with ESPN, with the pay-per-view business. I mean, but again, whether it's October or November or early November, we'll see.
Bob, going back to Manny, if he does and is able to beat Errol Spence, what do you think that does for his legacy and how it adds on to it?
Well, it helps him become president of the Philippines. That's more important than a legacy. All right, we never had a president of a country who was a great fighter like Manny Pacquiao.
Is that the next move you feel for him if he does get a win?
I know for a fact.
So this is going to be his last fight?
Well, I don't know. Wouldn't
That'd be crazy.
Can you imagine the excitement if the president of the Philippines, Manny Pacquiao, right, comes to Vegas to fight Crawford or somebody? People will go crazy. When have you ever had a president of a country fighting at the top level?
If you were the odds maker for Spence Pacquiao, what would it be?
I'm not an odds maker.
With that,
And remember, odds don't necessarily mean ability. Odds are what the public thinks and what the public bets. That's what people make the mistake. If a fight is 10-1, and people say, well, it's an outside fight. No, that means that most people think that fighter A is better, and so they bet fighter A, and the odds go to 10-1. But if somebody comes and makes a big bet on fighter B, then the odds go down. Has nothing to do with innate ability.
Any advice on Spence on how to approach him during the press conference?
On who?
Any advice to Spence on how to approach Pacquiao during the press conference? I know a few fighters have gotten out of line and they paid for it. Any advice on Spence on how to...
No, Spence won't get out of line. I mean, he has no history of being that kind of person.
here's the key question, Bob. Did Errol look 100% to you in that last fight with Dan?
Well, he didn't look as good as he did before. But that, again, time has now passed, and maybe it was just a question of time in order for him to get back his full abilities.
You mentioned don't be surprised if Manny wins, but do you feel that Manny...